So this week, Hoop-Dee-Doodle stopped into Crash Toys in Dallas, Texas. And Crash Toys is part of the Copart brand of auto salvage yards, which is the same place where we got this Honda CB500F that we've been working on. And so the Crash Toys thing, there's only a few of these things in the country. There's a handful of them, and it basically seems to be the place where they gather up all the cool stuff, you know? All the like supercars are there, and well, not all of them, but like they have supercars, they have ATVs, motorcycles, and we were specifically interested in the motorcycles, so we stopped in to check this place out.
The crazy looking building over there. Oh, Crash Toys. I swear that's the same Range Rover thing that was here before. I'll park next to it. But now it's out front. Remember this thing?
Yeah.
Like you looked at it, you were like, oh, that's interesting. Because it had that rack and everything on it. You're like, oh, look at that.
So I've been to this Crash Toys before, and they had some neat stuff like this KLR 650 and this Range Rover, which is not for sale. I think this is just a prop. And at that time, there was also a Ducati Monster, a Triumph Triple, and a Panigale, which you gotta admit is a beautiful design. And then also this KTM 390, which I'm intrigued by because these are small, economical, and really fun to ride bikes. And then another Ducati Monster over here. The Ducati Scrambler with a nice little grill I was kind of inspired by. And we were lucky enough to find an old Gold Wing as well. And then this time around, on this trip, we found a Ferrari. There was a host of Ferraris this time. They had this GT C4 Lusso. I'm not a Ferrari guy, but this was a practical Ferrari where it had 4 seats in it. It looked like someone had taken a baseball bat to it or something because the windows were all smashed out. And then when you walk into this particular Crash Toys, they've got this front showroom area and then the back sort of warehousey area, and it's all very nice. There's even a bar in there. I'm not sure when that gets utilized, but there's a bar. And then in that back showroom area, they've got all just rows and rows of motorcycles. There's this KTM Super Duke just as you walked in the back room there. And right next to it was an Aston Martin of some kind that had really nice seats in it. Then there's a Triumph Daytona 675. Directly next to a KTM Adventure 1090. And there's a fairly big split in the types of bikes here. The whole middle of the room is cruisers. That's where all the Harleys and the Indians and other brand cruiser bikes are located. Around the edge of the room, lining all the walls, are all your sport bikes, adventure bikes, everything else basically. And so first up was this Kawasaki ZX 1400, which is like the fastest bike on the road. And there was actually a couple of these there on this day. This one, it was all melted on one side from some sort of heat exposure. I'm not sure if it was in a house that caught on fire or what, but it looked so weird. I almost thought it was on purpose. I thought it was going to end up looking like a reptile or something, you know, someone had crafted it this way. But no, it was just melted this way. And then right down the line from that was one of those Yamaha XSR 700s. This is the retro style sort of bike that Yamaha currently builds. And these are kind of intriguing. They're kind of neat looking. Then the same Triumph Triple that was there before on the last trip is still there. It's still not on the website. I don't know what's up with this bike.
Versus.
There's a Kawasaki Versus, which is kind of intriguing. These are supposed to be pretty nice bikes. And then you can see the row of Harley Sportsters just lined up. There was a ton of these things. Then going down the line, we had an older 2001 Ducati 900 SS in the house. And then this nice looking Yamaha XT 1200 adventure bike was also there. Really nice, well put together bike with lots of nice little features on it. And then this thing just amazed me because I did not recognize it, but it was a Buell 1125, and it had been painted. It was the worst looking Buell I've ever seen.
What happened to this? Oh my god.
And I was really curious to see what this one sold for, but I have not seen it on the website. But it had also been in a crash, and it had a nice little dented front wheel there. You can see the customary Buell front rotor on there. But interesting bike. There was another one of these down the road a little bit further that was a lot nicer looking than this one. And then this one, a little gem and on a rare one, an MV Augusta F4. And then this bike was my favorite of all the bikes there that day. And it was because if I were to bid on one, this was one that had a couple little extra custom pieces, had some custom electronics on it, some nice high-end Moto Gadgets components, turn signals, dash, all Moto Gadget. Nice upgrades for this bike and tasteful upgrades. And this was a nice bike to bid on. And also had a clean title, not a salvage title, which is pretty intriguing. It definitely increases the value of this bike. It did have some stuff going on with it. Nothing major though. The forks were actually straight on it. The headlight was smashed. You did have to get a new headlight, of course. And then there was an oil leak on the side. I'm not sure exactly what that is. It looked like it was probably a valve cover gasket issue or a valve cover itself issue, but I couldn't exactly diagnose the thing entirely while I was there. There's another Ducati Monster down the road a little bit further. Missing a mirror, missing the exhaust. And then they had a Triumph Tiger adventure bike as well. There's two of these in the building, and this was the worst one, where it had clearly been in a serious accident. Wow. The crash bars on the side were broken. Not bent, but broken. And the swing arm on the back was also broken, just cracked right in half. Broken swing arm. And here's that other Buell 1125 that I mentioned, and this thing was a lot nicer looking than the other one, but still, it needed some work. And there's another Ducati. There's several Ducatis here. This is a Hyper Motard. And then another KTM Duke 390. And this one was really not in bad shape at all. The front mid-fairing there thing was cracked. That was even, it looked like it was repairable. You might not even have to replace that. And then the front forks and everything looked good on this one as well. Even if it looks good, there's probably something hidden in there that is bent. And then another Triumph triple. This is a speed triple, this one. And then a very, very dusty Ferrari. Most likely this thing had been in a flood of some kind. And here's the other Triumph Tiger. This one came with some nice boxes on the back, but it looked to be the exact same year and model as the other one. Then they had a few Honda Groms over on the side, mixed in with all this low CC scooter stuff. I have thoughts of doing a real fun project with one of these someday, but we'll see how that goes. These tend to actually sell for more than what they're worth in terms of salvage bikes on this website through Copart. And then they had the ever popular Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. They had one of these here this time. This is the newer version of the Scrambler that they have recently come out with that has the higher ground clearance on it. And you can see this one had clearly been rear-ended. And then leaving, I noticed that one of the fun things about this building is the door handles, which are made out of old leaf springs from like a truck. And they've also got this outside entertainment area. I'm not sure when they hold events here, but clearly they must at some point. Overall, if you're a motorhead, this is a pretty interesting place to check out, and it's a quick visit.
There's like dog bowls out here.